And away we go. It's just me at the moment. Not sure if Risk and or Eric are going to join. At this point, I don't think I should even ask if they will ever join, because given previous technical problems, it has really turned them off from joining these episodes in fear of expressing their opinion, and then the episode gets cut short. Anyway, the show must go on. So let's see what's in the news for the day. Pope Leo decrees Sudan violence, urges dialogue and relief efforts. On Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, Pope Leo XIV, during the weekly Angelus prayer at the Vatican City, appealed for an immediate ceasefire and humanitarian corridors in Sudan, urging the international community to act decisively and generally amid reports of brutality in al-Fashir. The paramilitary Rapid Support Forces captured al-Fashir after an 18-month siege, with reports of killing, sexual violence, looting, and abductions since the city's fall a week ago. UN figures show more than 65,000 people have fled since Sunday. Around 260,000 lived in al-Fashir pre-assault, and Doctors Without Borders said only 5,000 reached Tawila. The UN Human Rights Office said hundreds of civilians and unarmed fighters may have been killed late last month, when RSF captured al-Fashir, while thousands remained trapped, and Germany's top diplomat called the situation apocalyptic. The Pope invited the faithful to pray for victims and urged parties involved in the Sudan conflict to halt hostilities. He will celebrate Mass at Verano Cemetery, Rome, on Sunday in memory of the deceased. All I can say is I hope anyone in Sudan, firstly, I hope they stay strong and resilient. But also, I also would say that whatever conflict and violence is going on in Sudan, it has to stop. I can't be too sure when this has started. I am also frustrated that whilst people are talking about Gaza, Ukraine, and well, and that's it, there there's other conflicts like what's going on in Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo, and of course Nigeria. It's only now people are now raising awareness for it. I once again ask the question: where was this concern? Where was the messages and people's concerns on those places last year and the year before that, if it even started then? But even the moment it had started, why wasn't anyone making a fuss? Why wasn't any outcry like we seen with Ukraine and Gaza? I have no problem with people advocating for the lives of people living in countries that are going through some kind of conflict or even genocide. However, if you're going to raise awareness about a genocide, you can't just raise awareness for one genocide. You have to raise awareness for current active genocides that are going on, even if they get little amount of media attention. Of course, it won't be easy. Now, despite the media landscape being so open and very accessible, it still won't be easy giving and receiving the attention on these concerns and conflicts around the world. But that does not mean we shouldn't try, and try we shall. So, great to see Pope Leo is raising awareness on what's going on in Sudan, and I also hope the same can be said for the Democratic Republic of Congo, Nigeria, and I know he'd already raised awareness and shared his concerns on Gaza and Ukraine as well. When will the violence end? When will the freaking violence end? We're not gonna stop until we get an answer. When will the freaking violence end? Sundar shines as India level T20 series with Australia. On November 2nd, India cricket team beat Australia cricket team by 5 wickets at Bellarive Oval in Hobart, levelling the series 1-1 in the third T20. With Hazelwood absent, Australia opted for Sean Abbott, while India made 3 changes, bringing in Jitesh Sharma, Arshdeep Singh, and Washington Sundar for the third T20. Washington Sundar turned the chase with an unbeaten 49 off 23 balls and a key 35-run stand, with Tilak Varma before Jitesh Sharma finished the match with 9 balls to spare. Suryakumar Yadav reflected on the toss, saying, "I think it was really important to win the toss. I think it was 19 or 20 tosses in a row. So good to break that streak." Well, Marsh acknowledged the visitors' bowling. The fourth T20 takes place on Thursday on the Gold Coast, with 2 matches remaining on November 6th and November 8th, and fewer fans expected at Bellarive Oval than the MCG crowd of more than 80,000. Another day, another cricket match. Can't say I'm surprised, but certainly I won't say it's boring either, because India and Australia have very good cricket teams, so the national cricket team, they're very good, so it's either way, it's anyone's game how Australia and or India do well in cricket. And I don't pay attention much to cricket, but I know that Australia and India has like one of the best cricket teams in the best national cricket teams in the world, along with England, South Africa, Pakistan, what else? Bangladesh, of course. Can't forget about Bangladesh. I think that's about it. That's all I can think of at the top from the top of my head. Yeah, those countries I am aware that have very good cricket teams, and surely they will do well in the next round of T20 or whatever they call it. Yeah, that's it. Good for India and good for Australia. Win or lose, they gave it their all because they know that it's anyone's guess, it's anyone's game, and they're like few of the best cricket teams in the world right now. So it's a very anticipated match. AI song generator. Audio offers brief window for downloads after universal settlement upset users. Udio announced a brief 48-hour reprieve starting Monday, November 3rd, allowing users to download songs under prior terms of service. After the UMG deal, Udio immediately stopped downloads, provoking outrage and an apparent exodus of paying subscribers, while frustrated users on Reddit called the move a betrayal and discussed legal action. The settlement includes a compensatory payment and a partnership on a subscription AI service, ending Universal Music Group's allegations that Udio illegally trained its AI on copyrighted songs under the October 29th deal announcement. Udio acknowledged user pain while saying it had worked with partners to make the reprieve possible, and confirmed songs downloaded during during next week's 48-hour window will belong to Udio's users who created songs. Amid broader legal pressure, industry groups note more than 50 pending federal cases, while the Artists' Rights Alliance warned AI tools threaten creators' livelihoods and raise protection concerns. Well, it's not a discussion about AI without discussing trademarks, copyrights, integrity of the industry as a whole. It's going to come to that point, and it certainly has, from what I've just read. That there's going to be more stories like this. There will be more discussions about AI, not just how well it will do in the next few years, also how creative individuals and artists are going to continue with their work even when AI can do the job just as well as other humans can. I'd say put the trademark in now as soon as possible, because if you don't, well, you're you will eventually fall short of the stick, or whatever the saying is. I'm not sure there is a saying for that. AI is getting very good so far, so while you can, seize the opportunity, put trademarks on a lot of your work. So when AI comes about and uses your work for inspiration, call them out on it and get your compensation as soon as possible. At least that's, I believe, how it should work. So someone is going to bring this up again, and they will bring the same points like I've mentioned. And I don't see how anyone else wouldn't have bring up any of the points I've said. Also, the Grand Egyptian Museum showcasing 50,000 artifacts is finally opening. On Saturday, November 1st, 2025, Cairo hosts a state-led inauguration for the Grand Egyptian Museum with dozens of foreign leaders and dignitaries expected to attend. Built from 2005 amid interruptions, the $1 billion project faced delays from political turmoil, COVID-19, and regional conflicts while President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi championed it to revive tourism. The museum houses tens of thousands of artifacts and wide permanent galleries displaying over 50,000 artifacts across 24,000 square meters, including the 5,000-item Hermoon collection, the 53-foot hanging obelisk, and Khufu's funerary boat. Officials expect the GEM to boost tourism with 7 million additional visitors annually, supporting around 30 million total visitors, after last year's 15.7 million visitors who spent $15 billion. Organizers say the GEM will become a global cultural and scientific hub with advanced conservation facilities and mixed reality exhibits, while the opening renews calls for return of the Rosetta Stone, Dendero's Zodiac, and bust of Nefertiti. Well, those billions of dollars better be worth it, because oh my gosh, the amount of time the amount of time it took to actually get to where it is today, yeah, it better pay off, and there better be people going to see all that stuff. Because besides pyramids of Giza, what and the culture of ancient Egypt, what else does Cairo or Egypt as a country have anything else in store? You never know. There's still new discoveries made at least once every month, so this is only the beginning of something. Who knows? Reality reality TV star and campaigner George Harrison has announced the birth of a first child with partner Jack Stacey. The former Love Island contestant revealed she gave birth to a baby girl named Sahara Jean Stacey on October 30th at 12 at night. The 30-year-old shared the news on Instagram alongside photos of the couple in hospital with their newborn. Sahara Jean Stacey, born 1209 on the 30th of October 2025, the post read. We are more in love than we ever could have imagined. Thank you so much for all of your messages. We're so grateful. Time to enter the baby bubble. Fellow Love Island stars including Tasha Gori, Amber Davis, Demi Jones, and Chloe Burrows were among those congratulating the couple in the comments. Harrison, who rose to fame on The Only Way is Essex before appearing on Love Island in 2017, has become a prominent campaigner against image-based sexual abuse and deepfakes. Her activism follows the conviction of her ex-partner, celebrity Big Brother winner Stephen Bear, who was jailed in 2023 for voyeurism and sharing a private film of them having sex without her consent. Harrison waived her right to anonymity and has since spoke to MPs on the Women and Equalities Committee and at the Labour Party conference about her experience. She fronted the ITV documentary Revenge Porn, Georgia vs. Bear, and earlier this year released Georgia Harrison, Porn, Power, Profit, which examines deepfakes and image-based sexual abuse. Bear was jailed for 21 months, but walked out of prison in January after serving 10.5 months. Harrison has also appeared on Love Island, All Stars, and won Channel 4's Celebrity Essex Who Dares Wins with boxer Lani Daniels. In October, she was made a member of the Order of the British Empire for services to tackling online privacy and cybercrime awareness at an investiture ceremony at Windsor Castle. Firstly, congratulations on the new baby. It's nice to see that whatever opinions people have on celebrities, at least be grateful that they're actually considering settling down and starting a family together. That's something, and I'm all for that. And I hope I hope that Georgia and her partner Jack continue living their lives in happiness and prosperity and a third thing I can't think of right now. So yeah, congrats on the new baby. It's good for them. And hopefully the family grows stronger and more vibrantly than currently is right now. I don't know how else to describe, other than congratulations. I'm grateful that they're starting a family together. Yada yada yada. So, and that's about it. And as for Stephen Bear, the arrest, sexual abuse, I can't say I know much about that. However, I will say sexual abuse is a very serious topic and has to be discussed in a civilized manner. I can't imagine how anyone could interpret that any in any other way. However, things happen in life that we don't want to happen, yet they happen anyway, and anything that comes out of that opens up for discussions on topics like sexual abuse and consenting to sexual acts. And of course filming said sexual act. That's just me. Everyone's entitled to whatever opinions they have on the matter. However, this is a very serious matter about sexual abuse in general, let alone the discussion between George Harrison and Stephen Bear. What's important, regardless, is there is enough evidence to prove that there is some wrong done in the act, and whoever was in the wrong gets the punishment that they deserve. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. But other than that, again, congratulations on the baby, and I hope the family for Georgia Harrison and Jack Stacey grows stronger and stronger each and every day. India's space agency to launch its heaviest satellite, launching from Sriharikota at 5:26 p.m. ISRO carried out the CMS-03 satellite launch on Sunday. India's space program has expanded markedly since its 2008 lunar probe, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi setting goals for an uncrewed orbital mission before a crewed flight in early 2027. and a moon goal by 2040. Weighing about 4,410 kilograms, 9,722 pounds, the CMS-03 communication satellite was sent into orbit from the towering 43.5-meter LVM-3M5 launch vehicle. Providing wide area coverage, CMS-03 will serve a wide oceanic region, including the Indian landmass, and the Indian Navy said it will secure communication links between ships, aircraft, and submarines. In the broader context, the upgraded LVM-3M5 launch vehicle powered India's August 2023 unmanned lunar landing, joining Russia, the United States, and China amongst nations with controlled lunar landings. Good for India, committed in their space orbital mission. I hope to explore space someday. However, until there is some proof of launching rockets beyond the firmament and actually being able to inhabit another planet that is suitable for habitation, I'm not going to get myself too invested in just anything related to space exploration, because there is high costs that, like the experts say, and the fact that there has to be uncrewed manned missions before actually putting a crew in there to ensure that everything works properly and it doesn't explode. Not saying it's a bad or good thing. There is a lot regarding to what goes on in space. I hope that someday we understand the truth behind our planet, and if we could ever make beyond our atmosphere. Erling Haaland scores again as Manchester City ease to win against Bournemouth. On November 2nd, 2025, Erling Haaland struck twice as Manchester City beat Bournemouth 3-1 to move to second in the Premier League. Haaland has taken his tally to 13 Premier League goals in 10 games, becoming only the third player to score multiple games in 4 consecutive Premier League home games, after Luis Suarez and Robbie Fowler. Both goals were set up by Ryan Cherki, Manchester City attacker, marking Cherki's first Premier League assist as his 17th-minute header exposed Bournemouth's high defensive line and let Haaland round Djordje Petrovic. City edged 1 point ahead of Liverpool and will face Liverpool next weekend, keeping their title challenge active as Pep Guardiola remains confident they can still threaten Arsenal. Rico O'Reilly scored as the first City player other than Haaland in over a month. Phil Foden created the clinching goal, and Bournemouth ended the weekend in 4th place. Of course, even though Man City is no longer top dog of the Premier League, they're still getting win after wins. They're still getting pretty good stats from their players. So, no surprise there. And of course, Arsenal being in 1st place. I'm not saying they're going to bottle the title this season. However, I have a feeling whether Man City does well in the next few matches, or if Bournemouth and, dare I say, Sunderland continue with their form in the next few Premier League matches, it's anyone's game. People say it's boring because people are saying that the Premier League season right now is boring because Arsenal is ahead by 5 points roughly. Not sure the exact number, but they have a manageable point lead ahead of Bournemouth that was second at the time before City and Bournemouth played. There is no doubt that Arsenal has a better chance of winning the Premier League this season than seasons prior. Even if people are saying that other teams like Man City and Bournemouth perhaps, if they continue their form, and again, Sunderland of all teams, I didn't think they would get so high up in the Premier League table this season after being promoted from the Championship. I know for certain that Arsenal will put in quite a fight with the other teams this season. I think Arsenal could win it. I'm not saying they will, but the chances of winning, I think Arsenal's chances of winning the Premier League this season is far higher than the last 2, 3 seasons when people thought they were going to win it, but they bottled it to, well, Man City and then Liverpool last season. Anything is possible. It's absolutely chaotic how teams could move from one position to the next in just one week, in one match day. It's crazy. I love the chaoticness of soccer football. It's amazing. University of Pennsylvania's email system apparently hacked. On Friday, October 1st, 2025, the University of Pennsylvania's email system was breached, and fraudulent messages tied to the Graduate School of Education was sent to students, alumni, faculty. The email's content targeted Penn's internal policies and fundraising, disparaging hiring and admissions while urging recipients, please stop giving us money, following rejection of the White House's Compact for Academic Excellence in Higher Education. The email included crude accusations and claims about legal violations, using expletives and a slur calling the school a dogs, elitist institution, and citing FERPA and SFFA breaches. A Penn spokesman, Ron Ozio, confirmed the incident response team is actively addressing the breach, and recipients were advised to delete suspicious emails, with some receiving the vulgar message up to 10 times. The breach involved multiple Penn-affiliated accounts, including senior staff and GSC accounts, and follow other controversies and fraudulent emails at Penn in recent years. However people think about universities, tuition fees, the degrees you learn at said university, I mean, if people want to go to university, go ahead. I have no problem. However, back to the incident about emails, that is concerning. Concerning is not enough to describe. How could how could a university let this happen? How was this even possible? What's the security measures like at University of Pennsylvania? Is it the bare minimum, or is it just decent, yet somehow there were some expert hackers that found a little loophole that were smart enough to know the ropes around the operations, and just went through without any problems? There's so much to think about this email scandal. Well, even if the response team does something about it, the damage is done. The damage is set in stone, and it will stick with those students for a very, very long time. If they want to. I'm just saying. Goodness me. I don't think problems like that even happen all that often. Because I think universities, wherever they are around the world, they should have very good security that tackles against any scammers, any fraudulent individuals, organizations, or just from anyone sketchy. I think having decent, if not very good security is the bare minimum for any university to have. Because if they don't, are you even a legitimate university? Or are you just set up to get tuition fees from international students that want to escape their home country in hopes to find new opportunities in the country which the university is located in hopes to find a high-paying job? Again, I have no problem with that. Just saying, the amount people pay in tuition for universities is astronomical, especially if you're an international student, because they know international students are loaded, so therefore they'll most likely have a higher fee in tuition for international students as opposed to native-born university students. I think universities are starting to become more of a business rather than an educational institution that teaches you the skills and the assets you should have to ensure that you can succeed in whatever work you want to do once you graduate. I think you don't even have to go to university, you could just start work right away. However, if you do want to go to university, I think people who want to learn law, become a doctor, maybe an engineer, or any other high rent, a lot more crucially essential jobs, yeah, I think universities in general still have a purpose in this world. If you're wanting to study law, health, STEM subjects, I think that's about it. From the top of my head, that's all I can think of that would require a university degree. Blockchain has earned its place in sports as core infrastructure. As blockchain technology continues to embed itself into the sports industry, its real-world applications are shifting from mere branding stunts to meaningful operational solutions. Major leagues and teams are now leveraging blockchain infrastructure to enhance security, transparency, and fan engagement, transforming the way sports organizations manage ticketing, athlete data, sponsorships, and fan loyalty programs. This evolution underscores blockchain's transition from experimental hype to essential ecosystem infrastructure in the broader crypto and blockchain markets. Sports organizations are adopting purpose-built blockchain networks for seamless ticketing, identity management, and settlements, aiming to improve operational efficiency and fan experience. Blockchain technology is fighting ticket fraud, ensuring transparent athlete data, and automating contractual agreements, fostering greater trust and automation within sports ecosystems. The next phase emphasized a unified, modular blockchain infrastructure that integrates with existing stadium operations and fan engagement platforms, facilitating loyalty and digital collectibles. Market projections indicate the sports blockchain industry could grow from $2.05 billion in 2024 to $10 billion by 2035, driven by operational efficiencies and regulatory compliance. Fan interaction increasingly occurred through invisible, seamless blockchain layers within official team apps, making activities like entry, upgrades, and voting feel familiar and frictionless. Well, now what I just read, to me that sounds kind of quite exciting. Of course, hearing blockchain and or crypto in the same sentence is going to raise some flags for a lot of people, and they're going to have a lot of concerns, which, fair enough, I can't argue with that. However, blockchain technology, it's very important, not just for the sake of transparency, but it's also for the sake of, well, just digital transactions. Because if there are people that want to put money into something, which they're entitled to, even if we disagree with their decisions, there should be a system that allows them to do that. And I'm not saying that betting markets should ever grow in popularity or people should ever rely on betting markets for sports or real world events. They do tell a clearer story about how teams perform, and in terms of real world events, tells a clearer story on how people think the world is going to look like, how certain outcomes would happen, and what people would say or even do when the moment happens when people least expect. And that's the thing with betting markets, especially on real world events. People are putting real money into this. So for sure, people are going to be thinking carefully and they'll think quite critically on what outcomes they believe is most likely to happen. And having that kind of mindset with a lot of people that do put money into betting markets gives you the particular odds about particular teams winning a game, the teams that will win titles, and also in terms of real world events, what particular events would be more likely to happen. That's all I have to say. I'm open to hear discussions against betting markets, yet on the other hand, they do tell a clearer story about how the world operates, even if we disagree with them. And that just comes to show. Mexico City yields and increases the cost of transportation of buses and vans by a weight and a half. The Mexico City government reached an agreement with transport groups to increase the fare to 1 peso 50 for route and corridor transport, with the exception of the Metrobus system in the nation's capital. After a meeting of about 4 hours, the capital's authorities issued a statement indicating that both concessionaries and permit holders must permanently display the authorized fare in visible places on their vehicles, terminals, and buses. Otherwise, the update will have no effect whatsoever. Transportation services must improve. It was also mentioned that in order to guarantee users an improvement in the transport service, the transport group committed to carrying a valid and visible Type C driving license. In addition, carriers must remove tinted windows, have current civil liability insurance for the unit in operation, and the license plate number must be displayed in the unit's color scheme. Periodic checks must also be carried out on lights, doors, handrails, tires, and brakes, as well as ensuring the correct functioning of the safety devices, that the unit has cameras, emergency buttons, and GPS. To improve the quality of service, drivers must wear a uniform consisting of dark pants and a sweat and a white shirt. Keep the units in optimal cleanliness conditions and participate in training programs for route operators, he pointed out. Now, that sounds like quite a handful. Then again, it is Mexico, so they're always working hard, or at least working every now and then, and they don't stop working. That is it. Mexico, you do what you want to. Sure, it sounds like you got everything under control, and yeah, just enjoy life and keep working. But of course, at least relax every now and then, because, well, you don't want to overwork and lose any energy that would otherwise be useful in other future work. But yeah, you do you, Mexico. You do you. Dodgers' extra innings win sparks celebration and pride across Tokyo. Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto led the team to victory. Yamamoto was named the game's most valuable player. Fans across Tokyo gathered at bars, cafes, and newsstands to celebrate the performances of Ohtani and Yamamoto, expressing pride in seeing Japanese athletes excel on the world stage. The Dodgers' win resonated deeply with Japanese fans, with many saying the success of their countrymen made them feel personally connected to the team's triumph. It was a fantastic game. Toshikai Satake, 25, a company employee who watched the matchup at a sports bar in Tokyo Shinjuku district, told the Associated Press. Especially Yamamoto Yoshinobu. I think he pitched at his best at a critical moment. It's inspiring to see him handle that pressure and perform like that. By morning, Tokyo's newsstands were filled with front-page photos of Hodani and Yamamoto celebrating on the field in Toronto. Fans stopped to take pictures of the headlines and discuss the dramatic finish. It's amazing to see all these Japanese players going full on and winning. It just feels great, said Riku Akasaki, a longtime Dodgers fan. Every time Ohtani and or Yamamoto does something special, it feels like Japan is part of that victory too. For many in Japan, the Dodgers' success this season felt deeply personal. Ohtani, a two-time American League MVP, remains one of the country's most admired athletes, and Yamamoto's rapid rise as a starting pitcher made him a new national hero. Together, their achievements inspired a renewed wave of enthusiasm for Major League Baseball in Japan, where early morning broadcasts of Dodgers games routinely draw passionate audiences. That's nice. Nice to see Japanese athletes doing well, not just in America, but across the world stage, or at least globally, from what I just read. So good for Ohtani and Yamamoto on their win for the Dodgers. I've actually seen a couple of Instagram stories of people sharing posts about the Dodgers win and showing one of the Japanese players on that. So yeah, it's not just a big deal for Major League Baseball or the Dodgers. It's also a big deal for Japanese people because the two greatest baseball players that are of Japanese descent are showing that Japanese are as great sports people as they are great contributions to society. I'm not glazing the Japanese too much. However, I can't think of anything bad to say about Japan or Japanese people. So yeah, it's great to see that athletes are getting at least some amount of appreciation, at least if not much more appreciation for the efforts for the team they play for, but also for the national pride for which they represent. That actually means something to people, and hopefully, more positive news like that continues, even with whatever goes on in the world. Hopefully, more positivity comes about. Stabbing attack in London-bound train leaves 11 wounded, 2 critical. Police detained 2 men in their 30s after a mass stabbing on a London-bound train travelling from Doncaster, which left 11 people injured. 2 victims remain in critical condition as authorities conduct urgent inquiries into the motive. Police said the incident is not being treated as terrorism. King Charles III expressed sympathy for victims, while passengers described scenes of panic and bloodshed as travellers fled the carriage during the attack. Passengers told the Associated Press, travellers ran through the aisle to get away from the carriage. Some were covered in blood. Everyone was really pushing behind us, really panicking, one passenger told the BBC. He said he saw several people bleeding heavily from wounds. Officers reportedly used a taser on one suspect holding a large knife. Police said the suspects are both British citizens and being questioned at separate police outlets on suspicion of attempted murder. Why do people do this? What do people gain from causing physical harm to anyone, no matter what type of day, no matter what kind of groups of people that are apparently victims in this stabbing? How have we ever come to this? How are we allowing people to commit acts like this and only get as far as like a slap on the wrist, community service, and then off you pop and continue with their lives? And again, it does not matter who these people are that did the stabbing. Where have these people come from? Or at least their families. Where have their families come from of these 2 men that have committed the stabbings? And what is it that these men have been taught to think that acts like this are okay, which are certainly not? This should not happen in any country whatsoever. Even if you don't like the country in question, no one should ever be a victim and have to go through any physical harm from anyone. I hope that the victims of these stabbings, they do recover, speak rapidly and surely, guaranteed. And hopefully, the authorities that are looking into this investigation, they actually do something. Not just putting these men in custody and not just giving them community service as a way to show that their actions have consequences. You gotta tackle the root cause. It's not enough to tackle the action as it happens. What's the root? What's the root of it all? What has led to that moment? That's what not many people are talking about, nor what they're doing often. Because if people actually tackle the root cause of these crimes wouldn't have even happened to begin with. So again, I hope whoever passengers on that train who have been stabbed and have wounds bleeding from whatever parts of their body, I do hope they go through a very speedy recovery, and they will never have to go through events like this ever again. I hope moments like that don't ever happen again. I don't get why acts like this even happen to begin with. I don't see the point of stabbing people. I don't know why people should commit bodily harm to anyone. Most of these people are strangers to these men. So again, unless you have some complicated history, why? And even with complicated history, why are you letting these people get the best of you? Why let intrusive thoughts corrupt your mind to then commit these acts? It's outrageous. I'm appalled. And that is it for this episode.